begin the recording. Okay, this is a gathering of members from Preserve Georgia Rights and Gwinnett people, let's put it that way, Gwinnett County folks that have gotten together that have served their school board with both a notice and an affidavit. And let's see, let's just go around the block here and introduce ourselves. Chantel, you want to start?
Sure. Hi, my name is Chantal Fortunate Manley. I am a mother. I have a child in the school system, Gwinnett County, and I'm part of a group of mothers that, we have been working hard together to stop the ban, all these bans that they have in the school. And we've been working hard to get that removed against our constitutional rights. And yeah, so that's me.
Very good. Thanks, Chantel. Dina.
You're welcome.
I'm Dina Snyder. I'm a 23-year resident of Gwinnett County. I've put one child through Gwinnett County schools. I currently have a junior at North Gwinnett. I'm also a business owner here in Gwinnett. We actually, it was kind of funny how we all got connected through Facebook, but then each of us were looking into the affidavits and studying. And when we couldn't get any resolve, we decided that this was going to be the way that we were going to go.
Excellent. Thanks, Dina. Wendy Stoltz, nice to meet you. You're muted. You want to unmute yourself? And you're on here twice, by the way.
Yeah. Unmute.
You're muted, Wendy. There you go.
There you are.
I was having trouble with my computer, had to switch to my phone. Hi. So I'm a Gwinnett mom. My oldest is 23 years old. So we have been here for a long time, and I've watched Gwinnett slowly decline, but I have never seen a decline like I have since this board took over. And it's bad. And I feel like it needs to be addressed now. Chantal had gotten a hold of me back in August because she did this affidavit stuff with Morehouse College and it worked. And silly me, I didn't understand. And I said, no, thank you. And I wish I hadn't, because we could have been done with this by now. But I finally took her advice, and she's been helping us through all this. And we've sent a whole bunch already. And we have about 20 more people on deck, about to send more.
Excellent. Thank you, Wendy. So that's our Gwinnett contingent. Brandon, who is a member of Preserve Georgia Rights, recent in the past month, and has been a trailblazer, I will say. Brandon, if you want to introduce yourself and what transpired this week for you.
Yeah, my name is Brandon Spencer. Happy to be here. It is a very fast road for us for whatever reason. We recently moved from city to Decatur, just given the politics and everything that was going on there, and went to our first board meeting in October. And I was just floored. I could not believe that the same shenanigans, we'll call them, were taking place. And so I clocked in pretty hard, and within 30 days, came PGR and got kind of connected with everybody. And I was seeing double for probably 15 days, just in terms of the amount of information that I was reading and soaking up and all that good jazz. So I was able to get my ducks in a row, and I served my first notice on Thursday at our previous school board meeting, and kind of lit a fire under them. And we have a Cherokee County group and a lot of support over there as well. But I don't think that we have as much as a support group in terms of people who kind of understand the process and are wanting to kind of implement the process and reclaim their rights and really hold our public officials accountable for it. So I'm really hoping to connect with as many as Georgians as I can, and get everybody on the train and start really holding these people accountable. But as it relates to Cherokee, we have a process in terms of who we're putting on notice first, and should they not respond, obviously we'll move to the next step of everything. But you'll find I'm kind of I'm vocal in a professional manner. I have 3 young children myself. I'm a business owner myself as well. I'm a contractor, so it's a lot invested as it relates to what we're fighting for. So you'll find I will be very aggressively pursuing this in the future.
Great. Thanks so much, Brandon. I'll just introduce myself. I'm Deb Stickley. I'm the steward lead of Preserve Georgia Rights. We started back in January. We've gone through many metamorphoses over the months, but we pretty much settled in around May, June, and we were a part of another group, I shall say, and we splintered off from them because we found that they were not serving the purpose of the people in Georgia that many of us wanted to pursue. They were more nationally focused than state focused. So Jeff and I were the very first members of that group, and we splintered off and formed Preserve Georgia Rights. And with about, I don't know, 40 to 50 people, and we've grown to about 150 now. Many are new members over the past few months, whereby we've been learning about the notices and affidavits through Dave Jose and Josh Barnett. We saw the success that they had down in Arizona and knew that this was something that would work here in Georgia. We've addressed many topics. We're predominantly fighting for the audit / investigation / decertification of November 2020. We'd also like to see that happen with January 2021, but we got to fix 2020 first. We've been speaking with legislators, both in the House and in the Senate. As you know, many of them having a backbone. They're not doing their job, AKA maladministration. And we see this all across the board, everywhere, in every government organization, everywhere, whether they're elected or not. There's horrible maladministration. We've all been asleep at the wheel. We realize it, but November 2020 awoken a very sleepy giant. And so we have been fighting tirelessly, day in and day out. I admit I put in ungodly hours. We work with not just Georgians, but other people across the country. And we share experiences and what they've been doing. I'm sure that some of you might be in some of Dave's groups and talking to others around the country, learning what they have experienced and the successes and that they've been having, and we've been following suit. And with that, I'm going to let Jeff speak because he really is the PGR guru of these notices and affidavits. This guy knows our Constitution. He goes to bed with the Constitution. It's his bedtime story. So he knows it inside and out. And after that, Karen, welcome. We'll get to you too. So go ahead, Jeff, unmute yourself. I'm going to mute myself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jeff Fiva. I am going to try to live up to the introduction. So I'm in one of the other founding members of Preserve Georgia Rights. We called on to, early on we were doing, doing petitions. We were doing phone call campaigns to our legislators. We were doing mass emails. We were trying anything we could try, getting a little bit of results. We were making some headway, but very slowly and very little results. And then we called on to the notices and affidavits. Just, I think, I can't remember when right before the Georgia state GOP convention in Jekyll Island right around that time is Candace Taylor in her campaign for governor was pushing these notices and affidavits about audit. We caught on to that. I instantly said there's something to this using the state constitution, learning our rights as the people, and the Constitution over statutes, the Constitution over mandates, the Constitution being the supreme law of the land. So I started paying a lot of attention to what Candace Taylor and Dave Jose and Josh Barnett were talking about as it pertained to audit, and started to read what has become one of my favorite stories after the Bible, which was the Article 1 of the Georgia State Constitution. You know, we were not taught this in school. They did not. That this is the United States Constitution is a wonderful, wonderful God-inspired document. But before there was a United States Constitution, there were 13 state constitutions. And that is where the true powers of the people are not given, but are the people created the government. The people created the government through the Constitution. And in the Constitution is where we reserved the right that we were not going to allow our government to touch. And they don't teach it to us in school. They, on purpose, I believe, because they don't want us to know what our power is. They don't want us to know what we can do and what they can't do. And for decades now, we have not, you know, basically the boss we hired a manager to run our business, and then we just left and let them run our business. And now all of a sudden we're showing up going, whoa, 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 we don't like the way you're doing it. And obviously they're pushing back. But that is our responsibility as the people, as the owners of the company. I love the way Judge Nally said to Deb and I last weekend. He said, you know, nobody taught us in school that on your 18th birthday, you inherited a seat on the board of directors of two of the largest corporations in the world, the United States of America and the state of Georgia. And you inherited this seat on the day you turned 18 as a member of the board of directors. But they didn't teach us that in school, so we didn't stand up and do what we were supposed to do. And I see the notices and the affidavits that we're using as the tool that we use to exercise our constitutional right of petition and remonstrance, to tell our government what our hired employees, how we want them to run our business, how we want them to handle our business, and what part of our personal business we want them to stay the heck out of. So that's what we do. That's kind of my role. I'm so glad to see Brandon jump in and take the bull by the horns. It'll be nice to have somebody else that really understands how to do this, so that we can teach other people like you guys that anybody can do this. It doesn't take a law degree. It doesn't take, you know, common law is simple for a reason. The constitutions are written in simple words for a reason. They lay out what we have, and then all we have to do is stand up and do that. So with that, I'm gonna let's Karen, go ahead.
Yeah, Karen, welcome. If you could introduce yourself to us, go ahead, unmute.
Okay, can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry, I was muted.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm Karen Perkle, and I'm the domestic terrorist that was arrested on, or one of them. I don't know if Wendy's in here. I mean, not Wendy, Brenda's in here, but oh, hi, Wendy and Dina. I see y'all now. I was arrested on Thursday night for criminal trespass going into the facility.
Yeah, we're going to get in. We're going to get into that in just a minute. If you could just give us a little bit of background of you, and you know, you're in Gwinnett. We know that you met these ladies, which is wonderful. And are you the one that is the retired officer?
I am. I'm a retired deputy sheriff. I was the deputy sheriff for 23 years. And talking with Dina and Wendy remind me, oh, and hi, Chantel. I see you too now. I'm sorry. I didn't want to leave you out now that I saw you. They reminded me of a lot of the stuff. See, I've been out for 4 years. I've been retired for 4 years. And I don't even back in the day, we didn't do a lot of criminal trespassing or anything, constitutional issues so much. And they reminded me of how it is a government building, and, you know, I should be allowed in the government building. And so, yeah. But I'm married, I have a daughter, and she's the reason why I'm doing this.
Good for you. Great. Well, which one of you from Gwinnett wants to tell the story of what happened this past week and why Karen got arrested, and I believe some others were involved in this little altercation, shall we say?
How about I go through kind of what happened, and then Karen, feel free to jump in, because I got shoved out the door and you were still inside. So
I didn't even know you got shoved out the door. I haven't
Oh,
looked at
yeah.
any video. I have seen nothing. So I
Yeah.
don't even know.
Yeah. So, you know, our story really began in May, when we really turned up the heat verbally with the board, when we really showed out as a big group. We came in, we had T-shirts made, and we refused to wear masks. And May is the meeting that they kindly call the insurrection. So we were the insurrectionists to start. Now, you
Not
know,
to say they spell insurrection wrong, it should be spelled patriot.
Well, and,
Yeah,
Not
and I,
that's right.
insurrection.
and I
That's
apologize to interrupt, but just to be clear, in May, there were no notices or affidavits or anything at that particular
No.
time. Okay, just to be clear.
No.
Thank you.
No, now I will tell you that the very first time I ever spoke at the school board meeting was May, and I went clearly over the color of law and the repercussions that could come to them. You know, I clearly stated to them during that meeting that I was not contracted with them. And I went through the laws that I felt that they were disparaging. So pretty much that was the start for me. I had known about all this for a long time. I mean, I've been awake for a while, and I've been following Fagiola, Alfonso. I've been really into this. So in May, I knew about all this. I just didn't know how it applied. So anyway, fast forward, in October's meeting is when Karen sat quietly without a mask on, and they, you know, they would always, if somebody's nose was down, they would say to the SROs, which they actually want to remove from our school buildings, but now 50 of them show up at our board meetings to protect them, but our kids are off limits. So
Explain
anyway,
what an, excuse me
Hold
one
on
second.
one
Explain what an SRO is.
it's
please.
a school resource officer. It's a police officer,
Thank you.
but dedicated to the school.
And Dina,
Thank you.
keep in mind, also you need to say Everton Blair, the board committee
Yeah.
guy, and Therese Johnson and Karen Watkins all want them gone.
Yes,
They don't want SROs. in
they
our
want to, they're
schools.
deep on the police. You must understand that Dr. Therese Johnson is a very active BLM member. Very, very active.
Both of two of them are.
Yes, yes. And I'm pretty sure that Everton Blair, the chair, is Soros funded. Just like our Solicitor General and our sheriff.
Well, he's definitely out of state funded, as we know.
Yeah.
Millions and millions of dollars poured into
Yeah.
his campaign from out of state. So
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is the perfect storm. You know, Everton Blair works for a Democratic wheelhouse, and one of their priorities is to change the electorate here in Georgia, along with every other state here in the East. But Georgia is a big focus for them. So anyway, you know, it just, in October, Karen, did not get kicked out. They shut down the board meeting because they insisted that she cover her face. And afterwards, then she received a citation for trespass, which statutorily it's not trespass. It's not criminal. It's not trespass at all in a public accommodation. Anyway, so we all showed up. There were, what do you think, Karen? Like 5 of us, 6 of us that were definitely going maskless. We were not, we had served them.
Are you talking Thursday night?
Yes.
There was
Yeah.
definitely like 5 or 6.
So 3 of us, and all we asked was we wanted to see Dr. Watts, the superintendent, or the board attorney before they threw us out. We wanted to see them.
Mhm.
We told them we have our affidavits. I had all kinds of statutes printed out, but they weren't gonna hear it. So they arrested Karen for criminal trespass. And then, of course, Brenda Stewart, who was masked and going through security, put her purse down on the table, and Karen had asked somebody to grab her phone. So Brenda went back because she was the closest to grab Karen's phone. While she was back getting the phone, they had gone through her purse and found a kindergarten pair of scissors, round tipped, pink or purple scissors.
That big.
Yes, short. She actually had the forethought to think, because I want to crochet and I have yarn and a crochet needle and I need my scissors, what kind of scissors can go through there? Now, the other thing they didn't put out notice, they noticed us that, there was going to be metal detectors, but never told us, gave us a list of what's not acceptable, what can't go through. All I knew going in was no guns, no food, no drink. Those were the only things posted. So
I didn't even know about the food and drink.
Yes, I did,
Sorry.
only because I always sneak my coffee in. But anyway, so Karen was getting arrested. Brenda walked back to get her phone. And when she came up, the police officer was holding her little baby scissors. And she tugged at them because she, in her mind, thought, I'm just going to take my scissors, put them in my purse, and get out of here. I'm not going to deal with this. That was really what she was trying to do, was leave. Well, they slammed her up against the wall. They grabbed her and slammed her up against the wall. She has feeling loss in her thumb. They really were rough with her, all the while not saying anything. So you can imagine, like, she's getting slammed around and she has no idea why, not anything. So they cuffed the women, put them in a conference room there for about an hour, wouldn't uncuff them. I mean, treated them like they had just walked in with AR-15s. It was
Unbelievable.
It was frightening. It was worse than any airport, any flight attendant. It
Yeah.
was uncalled for. So they did go to the jail and get processed. Now, I do want to bring Brian Whiteside, the solicitor, into this, because this guy scares me. He is gunning for us. He has been. He made a press conference over a Black lady's false police report, completely false police report, did a press conference on it, threatening us, the parents.
And never took charges on the false report of a crime. Never took
Yeah.
charges on it.
Never.
Now, you ladies had previously submitted a notice to the board
Yes.
stating that you were coming maskless to the meeting, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. They got the notices, the notice of affidavit. And that morning, I sent them an email.
Mhm.
And I sent them an email outlining all the laws again, that I demanded that they take a vote on the masks.
Mhm.
I had everything laid out. Not 5 minutes, my phone rang and I didn't answer it. I wasn't going to talk to them before this meeting. And they didn't leave a voicemail.
Mhm.
So they called on that email. So they were expecting this, but boy, their planning was pretty poor, because
Mhm.
really what they do is they rely on the school resource officers, the police officers, to be their goons.
Mhm.
Dina, don't
said-
forget,
Okay.
Dina,
Yeah,
don't forget to mention that they had sent on that Wednesday, they also sent out that email stating that they, the whole thing about lifting the mask mandate all the way in
Mhm.
January and all
oh
these
yeah,
unreasonable
stipulations.
conditions. And I think they started to get some fire under their butts. So,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, so we did get notice the day before the meeting that they're planning on lifting the mask mandate January 4th. So we
After
knew
the
we got
holidays.
to them. Yeah, we knew we got to them,
Right,
but they're
but
not going to let us win either.
the stipulations that they had were, if there's a spike, we can put them back on. This, that, and I mean, 20 different, seems like 20
Quarantine.
different reasons why they would put them back on, which said to us that they're still going to have them on.
Well, if I
Yeah.
could say
They
Okay.
something
done
really
it
quick,
before.
if I
Yeah.
could say
Yeah.
something really quick, the way
Sure.
that I read the affidavit was, you're going to remove every COVID protocol. We are not going to have masking. We're not going to have social distancing. We're not going to have
Vaccination.
quarantine, back, any form of discrimination related to any of this, and that they were going to remove it for all schools, all Gwinnett County school buildings, field trips, and I did it for students, staff, teachers, chaperones, et cetera, et cetera. So
Yeah,
it
Right.
wasn't just saying you're going to remove
Right.
this for my kid, or we're just going to take masks off or whatever. We want it all gone. So
Right.
their response a week later was, well, we are maybe going to do this at the start of the
But-
next semester if this happens and that happens and the other happens.
and it's not.
And, they specifically named quarantining,
Mhm.
Mhm.
doing asynchronous learning for kids that are exposed or whatever. And to me, that's outright
On-
discrimination. They
on
can't do
that.
that.
Yeah.
They're required
And-
to
and
educate our children, and that's not equitable in their favorite word, equity. So
Right. Yeah.
And
So they're basing
also-
this all off of what? CDC guidelines
Yes.
and
Yeah.
not
all of that
specific to our
BS,
numbers.
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
Right,
they're
well-
not making anything specific to our numbers.
Right.
they're
Right.
also
Right.
relying heavily on Georgia Department of Health, and I really think that we need to serve them next, because
Mhm.
Mhm.
none of this makes sense, because they're over Gwinnett, Rockdale, and Newton counties. Rockdale and Newton have lifted their mandates, and
not
they're
Gwinnett.
not any different than we are. So it's obvious
Yeah.
that it's all political.
Right.
So
I
Right.
I
And even,
also
I'm sorry.
oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Dina. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, in August, I made it clear to them when I spoke in front of them. I quoted our infectious disease statute, in where the health department is the only one via court administrative order can quarantine anyone for a health condition. So I told them, I said, don't you dare call me and tell me I need to quarantine my healthy child because you think he may have been exposed, unless you have an administrative order from the health department.
Okay. So I'm hearing many things here, and you guys are awesome. Absolutely awesome. Standing your ground, fighting mama bears. I love it. One thing I'm hearing, though, is that you were quoting statutes and codes, right? What we need to do is stand on the Constitution, period, right? Both Jeff and I have looked over the affidavit that you did, and I understand it is exactly like the notice that you submitted
correct.
as well. And I went through it and Jeff went through it, and we just have some suggestions for you. It's you guys did a great job on it, but we just have
Amazing.
some little modifications that we think that you can put towards it. And I'm going to share
Absolutely.
my screen so that you can say, I did it in red, so that you can see the changes that I made. Jeff, you wanted to say something before I do that?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that, if you're quoting statute to them as government employees, then they are liable to their statutes.
But they're not
Right.
even them.
But they're not following them. But
Right.
but the statutes, as the people, we don't quote statutes that apply to us, because as people constitutionally, we have a standing higher than statutory. But we do have
Right.
the power to demand that they follow statute.
Mhm.
Plus the all
As long
these
as
different
it's not a statute that
departments.
violates their our constitutional rights. Because if it violates their constitutional rights or our constitutional rights, then it's void.
Right.
Right.
But-
Plus, we have to remember that all of these departments, like Department of Health, none of them are elected officials.
No.
So they have
Right.
absolutely no right, none whatsoever, to trample upon our constitutional rights. Also, Governor Kemp had indicated that he was not going to be mandating or stating anything that anyone had to do, as far as the masks, the backs, closures, quarantines, etc. And he was leaving it up to local communities. And what these local communities have been afforded is a lot of money, a lot of money. And if you've been able to find where that money is coming from, because there was a lot that came from that, I don't even remember the name of the act that the US Congress passed, the COVID money. Every single county, every school district, etc., is getting vast amount of money. And that's why they keep putting these mandates out and requirements for you and your children, so that they can keep that money flow coming in. It's all about the money. That's plain and simple. So anyway, let me just share my screen here, and we'll get to your affidavit here. Okay. First off, you addressed it to a lot of people. That's number one. What I would recommend, and I think Jeff would too, is that when you are addressing an organization such as your school board, you can just address it to the board chair, board president, and then at the end, you can say all board members. So you don't have to list them out all separately. And this then requires them to provide the document to every single board member. Okay, I didn't change that on here, but I would recommend that you do that.
Kyle has it with the for Butch Miller or David Ralston. I
Yeah,
think it is.
that's exactly the
Also
same.
Okay.
Yep, the same way. When you're sending it to a group like a board, all you have to do is address it to the board chair, board president, what have you, and then all. Okay.
Okay. So
All
in
right.
this case, would you do the superintendent or would you do the actual
Yeah,
board chair? Because
I would do the board. I would do those two separately. I would do school superintendent, and then I would do board president or board chair, whatever their title is, and then say all, right?
Okay.
All board members. Then at the top, we neglected to put that this was an affidavit. You want to title it. So I just threw something in here because, it
that's
was what
actually
your
a-
affidavit was about.
That's an old copy. We did throw a title in
Oh.
because I had affidavit mamas review it.
Oh,
And
okay.
they told me I
Yeah.
neglected to have that. That's actually the old copy. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. That's okay. It's good to review this stuff. And then you always want to make sure that you've got notice to agent, it's notice to principal, because now it belongs to everybody, right? No matter who got the document, I'm sorry, I don't know who that is. Whoever got the document is required to give it to the addressee. Okay, so that this particular item is very, very important. Okay. Since this is an older version, I hope that you had comes now affiant. And then your name, and then you start out your statement. And the constitutional item is Article 1, Section 1. Because Article 1, Section 1, hold on just a second. Is the piece here. No, that's not it. Hold on. Let me get to that. Article 1, Section 1. Oh, I'm in Article 3. Sorry. Let me get to Article 1. Rights of persons. This is the very first right that we have, and it's the most important. No person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property except by due process of law. Okay. And we also know, we've learned in our Constitution, that there can be no law that is passed that goes against the Constitution. Those are considered null and void, right? So this is the one that you want to start your notice and or affidavit with. So Article 1, Section 1, Paragraph 1. Okay, let's get back to the document. All right, who just came in? Let me see. I heard a ding dong. Oh, Jeff is coming back.
That was me coming on my computer.
Under a different color. Okay, so that's the first thing. Then the next was whenever you're talking about the people, collectively, you're one of the people, people should always be capitalized. Don't ever do lowercase because we are the most important thing, people. So I changed all the P's to capitals. Then I just made some minor changes in verbiage. And again, Wendy, this was what I was given. And if these were changed, let's see, affiant comes, blah, 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 by upholding the Constitution. This includes the rights of my heritage, those in my care, and my children. Okay. Also
Okay.
including, that means also, right? Let's see, you are practicing religious and health discrimination by insisting on depriving me and my child rights under color of law, because you are addressing this, not only just you, but your property, which is your child, right?
Right.
Okay. So we want
I
to
think it
make,
actually would have changed that, but yeah, I see what you mean.
okay. And then
Hey,
this is,
Deb, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
yes,
Can I
Brandon, go ahead.
just want to ask a question in reference to like when they're making these statements, is it beneficial to provide, you know, the definitions per Black's law of person, people, property, so on and so forth, to further you know, just curtail your statements here?
Now, that's a really good point, Brandon. And I know that you did that in your notice, that when you're speaking of person versus people, because some of the verbiage in these laws talk to the person rather than the people as a whole. We do refer to Black's Law Dictionary, the 5th edition. Okay, if you don't have that, I've got a PDF version and I can get it to you. But that you can include that. Yes, Brandon. Absolutely.
I just
would-
actually bought that, Wendy. I have it. I just bought it.
You
last-
have it? Okay.
And I'm gonna load up in the chat the link for a digital copy. Makes it a little
Okay,
bit easier
great.
to follow.
Thank
Super.
you.
Thank
Um,
you very much, Brandon. Okay,
And I think that, can you guys hear me?
yes.
Okay, I think that, especially in a notice, providing definitions, because the purpose of the notice is to educate your government employee of things they may not know. So I think on a notice, it definitely is beneficial to include definitions of words that you assume, you know, we're assuming by the way you're behaving that you don't understand what the people means.
Right.
So we're going to define for
Yeah.
you what that means.
Yeah.
And then when you after the notice goes in, when you get to the affidavit, a lot of times you'll be more concise. You'll leave some of that stuff out because they already received that in the notice, and we assume at this point you've been educated and you've been taught.
Okay, so my
Right.
question following that then is, we were basically sending the same document, but changing notice to affidavit. So do you not recommend doing that? Should we do two different documents?
Well, in
Two-
theory, when we send a notice to a government employee, we are stating, this is just me letting you know that I have noticed that you're screwing up. I've noticed you're doing something wrong that's in violation of your oath, and I'm going to educate you because my assumption, I'm being polite, I'm being kind, I'm assuming that you obviously are a good person and you wouldn't have done this wrong had you known it was wrong. So I'm just educating you that it was wrong. So now you and I both know when we talk about this again later, if you don't fix it, that everybody's on equal ground, and we all understand now, because you're basically taking away their ability to go, oh, well, I didn't even know, I was just following orders. I was just doing what I was told, and I didn't know any better, because I now have documented evidence that you did know better. I taught you differently. So, and then when we go to affidavit, we're basically saying that you were given notice. And now willfully, with full understanding, you have continued to trample my rights. And so now I'm telling you, I'm still being polite and professional and courteous, but I'm not asking you to understand what you're doing wrong now. I'm telling you to fix what you're doing wrong now. So it's a little bit different position of authority. It's a little bit different attitude. So although you will address the same issues, you'll sometimes change your verbiage and change your wording to go to, I'm not asking you to take notice so much that this is what you're doing wrong. I'm asking you to make a change.
Right,
Okay.
so the notice is being nice and courteous and just explaining
purpose of
that,
teaching.
yeah, it's an educational tool. Let's look at it that way. It's an educational tool. So you may not have known that you were doing this wrong, but let me help you understand where that wrong is and how you can correct it, okay? And then after you send the notice, you want to do a follow-up in phone call or meetings. I mean, you want to try and have a dialogue, okay?
They are not
Because
going to dialogue. They
I'm
are
just
not.
saying, you're gonna, I realize that. We all realize that, but you make the attempt, right?
Right.
You make the attempt. So
Well-
if they aren't gonna have the dialogue, now you can smack them with the affidavit. Okay, Brandon, you had something you wanted to say?
Yeah, well, just a different, same statement, kind of different perspective. If the whole point, like, it's your responsibility as one of the people to educate your government. So you have to follow the steps and essentially allow them to defeat themselves. So, in honorable educational practices, it's your responsibility to educate them first and allow them to do their job. That's why they're elected. That's why they're in their position. When they do not do their job via the notice that you put them on, then you move to a bit more, accountable type of practice where you serve them with an affidavit. Should they not do their job, then you go above them, whoever their supervisor is, and you follow the exact same process. And in my understanding is that the idea is to cast a wide net over everybody who is practicing maladministration, everybody who is not doing their job. And there will be a day of reckoning when you take all of your affidavits and you say, you see, the entire internal government is not doing their job. Therefore, we have no choice but to reform or alter this thing right now. So
Beautifully
Okay, so
said,
you'll see-
beautifully
So
said.
you'll see sorry.
No, go
You'll
ahead.
see in my document that I kind of tried to, and I know this is probably incorrect, but I tried to actually do both in the same document because that's what I understood it to be. So I did the information at the beginning saying, we're informing you that you're doing this incorrectly, this incorrectly, this incorrectly. Therefore, we would like you to cease and desist this and this and this and this. So what you're saying is I should make that 2 different documents, correct?
Well, yes, and not to interrupt, but what I found to be, my path is not requesting cease and desist, not to say that it's not wrong, but essentially letting them know that they're in violation of their oath to office, which 100%, clarifies the fact of maladministration. So keep in mind, violation to oath of office is actually a felony, and they have no sovereign immunity, so they can personally be liable. And when you make them aware of that fact, and now they know that, hey, Mr. Attorney is not going to protect me anymore, in my opinion, that's what really lights a fire and puts the scare under them. And again, you start with local, then you go above them and above and above and above, and there will be a time when every single one of them will be personally held accountable. And that's the beauty of the Constitution.
Okay, so
Yes,
my question from that is, what is that next step? Because we've served Kemp, we've served the legislature, and no one is responding. So how do
We'll
we
get
hold
there.
them? What is that next step?
Yeah, we'll get there, Wendy. Go ahead, Jeff.
Okay.
Just to kind of from a constitutional, let's go to, we're looking at the Constitution, we're looking at the Georgia State Constitution.
Do you want me
It
to
talks
pull it
about
up?
a petition. We have, the people have the right to petition their government for redress of grievance through
Okay.
petitions and remonstrance, right? So boiling it down, because I like to keep things as simple as I can and use imagery to help me remember things. So basically, my understanding is we're petitioning, we're using notices and affidavits as the tool to exercise our right to petition our government for redress of grievance. Okay. So the way I look at it, the notice is me letting you know that I have a grievance.
Mhm.
And
Right.
the affidavit is me petitioning you to redress this grievance at this point, because when I let you know I had a grievance, you didn't respond. And so now I'm telling you that you do know about my grievance, and I want you to redress it immediately. So it's kind of the way I look at it is, the notice is a notification of a grievance, and the affidavit is me letting you know what I want you to do about it, since you didn't figure it out on your own, how to do something about it. And then, and like Brandon said, we're building a case. Okay, so this affidavit, we filed this affidavit, and you had it notarized, and under common law, and you are in a court of record, you're creating a case. Administrative courts do court by affidavits all the time. There's people that have issues in Pennsylvania that have moved to California, and they need to get their legal issues resolved, and they're not going to drive all the way back to California for a court date 10 times. And so they do court by affidavit. And it's basically doing court through the mail. So it is a legal document, and we're building a case.
Okay.
And so the next step, I didn't like it when Dave told me either, but the next step is, at this point, is to educate more people, get more people involved, make sure that you get as many people in Gwinnett County as you can to understand not only what's going on and why it's wrong, but what they can do about it. And
Which is
then
what
you
we're working on right
get more people filing paperwork, more people filing documents who understand that document, and if confronted, could defend it.
now. Okay.
And because they understand what it is, and they understand what it meant, and they understand what the problem was. And you're building a case, and sometimes that can take a while.
Okay.
But a majority of people has the final say, right? So we're in addition to building a case, we're trying to build a majority. We're trying to get to a point where, should this ever come to a point where it is a vote or it is a head count, there's going to be more heads on our side than there are on theirs to be counted. So, and I'm not saying that you have to get, 51% of the people in Gwinnett County to file this affidavit, but we all know that a large percentage of the people in this country don't give a crap one way or the other what the government does.
Right.
And they just go along and do whatever they want to do, right?
Which is
So
why
we want more people in Gwinnett County who are going to stand on your side at this day of reckoning, then they're going to have standing on their side. Because most of the people in Gwinnett County aren't even going to know there's a battle or show up. But for the people that do show up, we want to have more people on the good side than we have on the bad side. So the next step at this point right now is to educate more people and get more people to pay attention and to be willing to take action.
Well,
Okay.
and to build on that point as well, I mean, again, keep in mind that your affidavit, once, it goes unresponsive, that is a legal document that admits their guilt. So, put yourself in a position of being in a court and, am I submitting to the court one document that admits their guilt, or am I submitting 100 or 200 documents? It'd be pretty hard to refute that when you have 100 or 200 or 300 or what have you. This is not a situation where, you have 330 million people of the country and you need 50% of that in order to shake and move and make something happen. It's a small percentage, a very small percentage. You're talking 100, 200, 300 people can change this immediately. And I mean, there's options. You can go to the sheriff's office, you can, request investigations, all the above. But the most important part, in my opinion, to build off Jeff's point is you have got to have that support team behind you. Again, one document compared to 100, 200, or 300 documents, it's irrefutable. And it's not to say that you don't have rights or you can't seek remedy if it's just you fighting this thing. But I mean, could you imagine if you had 100, 200, 300 people, putting this in front of a grand jury or whatever is the next process? These are irrefutable documents that admit their guilt, and they have no leg to stand on. Furthermore, they're personally liable. This is not Mr. Government attorney that's representing us can protect us and throw a shield up or what have you. This is, you are personally liable. I can personally come after your personal bank account because we've made you aware of the maladministration, malfeasance that you've conducted upon the people, and there is no getting out of that. And thank God for our forefathers. And but anyway, just in a nutshell, that's the power.
No, that's perfect. All of you are absolutely correct.
In a republic, every single individual, there is nowhere in a republic form of government where any government official has the right to has the power or authority to trample the rights of any one individual, even in the largest majority.
Mhm.
Okay, if there's 9,000 people in a room and 8,999 of them vote that you're not allowed to speak, you still have the right to speak.
Right.
Okay, if you're
Okay,
the
so
one
let me
person
make-
in the minority, you still have the rights. However, that being said, when you're dealing with government officials who've already shown that they don't care that they're breaking the law and they're going to break the law anyway, there is strength in numbers.
Right. And that's exactly where we are. So,
Go ahead, Karen.
I forgot what my question was. I'm sorry. I'll think
I
of it.
have a
That's-
question.
Yeah. Go ahead, Chantel.
Okay. So I was wondering whether or not we should use the show of clean hands for our affidavit, since this is regarding mask and all the monies that the county's getting. for enforcing
Absolutely.
these things. So would it be more effective to use the show of clean hands?
I think it would
Absolutely.
be effective in a separate, like as a second affidavit.
Yeah.
Okay,
Now,
that's all.
Yeah, I think the point,
Absolutely, because there's a lot of money being passed back and forth, and there's a lot of unclean hands.
right. And just to further elaborate on what Brandon and Jeff and everyone else has been saying, is that now that you've got an affidavit, but let's fine tune it a bit more. Okay, you can
Okay.
clean it up some more, and plus get more people to support it. And if this takes meeting at a coffee house, at a restaurant, at somebody's home, whatever, that you conduct these educational type sessions to help people understand exactly what this process is all about and why you need to do this in order to get, these elected officials or, assigned officials to do their job, to follow their oath of office, then that's what you got to do. You have
And
to
that is
create.
that is actually what we've been doing. So we held one of our place of business right now is Panera Bread. And we held an informational session for the first round of people.
Mhm.
They all came and met with us. We had them sign the affidavits, and then we kind of worked backwards and did the notices from there.
Right.
So the notices were delivered, and then we got the email about a week, 9 days later, whatever. We got the email about, oh, we may lift it in January. And then I just sent out the actual affidavit for those same people 2 days ago. So
Okay.
they likely will not get those until they come back from the break. But then I have another 20 people on deck. So
Mhm.
my idea was to do the same exact thing. Let's all meet at this specific place. I'll educate you on what's going on. You know,
Mhm.
so that's kind of
Yeah.
what we're doing them a little bit at a time, because people are like, we don't understand what you're talking about, just like I did.
Right.
And it's starting to catch on because they're starting to see like, oh, okay, well, we got an email after
Yeah.
we notices, right? So people are sort of taking notice now. So I'm hoping that we can get a lot.
Yeah, and those little increments, you can take solace in a small little victory there. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, something is happening. It may be very slow, which it probably will, but
Right.
take solace in knowing that what you are doing is being noticed. And even though you're not getting exactly what you want right now, take that little victory and build upon it every
Right.
little step of the way. Okay.
And honestly, I think that may be one of the reasons why they did the metal detectors. I mean, I can't.
That's exactly
Oh,
why.
yeah.
That's
Oh, yeah,
exactly why, Wendy.
They're trying
If you watch Dave Jose's videos and Josh Barknett's videos going back a few months ago, and them talking about the Arizona audit, just as an example here. So you're not these people are not going to respond by sworn affidavit under penalty of perjury and admit that they've been breaking the law. And you're right, that's not going to happen.
Right.
But that doesn't mean they're not going to respond.
Right.
They're going to respond in ways like the metal detectors. There's going to be like the email that came out that said, oh, we're thinking about this. Okay. There's going to be Dave Jose and Josh Burnett talked about in Arizona when they started filing notice and affidavits. Nobody responded to their notice and affidavits, but the government officials started throwing each other under the bus. They all started pointing fingers. When we first started putting pressure on our Georgia legislator about audits, Raffensperger comes out talking about he's going to take over the Fulton County Board of Elections. Everybody in the government, they start pointing fingers at each other, okay? Because nobody's admitting guilt, but everybody's going, okay, well, we're not going to admit anybody did anything wrong, but if anybody did do anything wrong, it was that guy over there. It wasn't me, right?
Exactly.
So,
and I think, I honestly think that the email was meant to shut us up. It came out the day before the meeting. And then when they saw that wasn't going to be the case because Dina sent them the scathing email, then they decided to play hardball and bring out the whole bully pulpit, the SROs and the metal detectors and, trying to scare us away. They don't know us very well.
They're taking your notice to their lawyer.
Right.
He can't
Their
help.
their lawyers are looking at it going, you know what, you guys might be screwed because they're standing on real true law. And they're right.
It's
and
true.
There's nothing legal. There's nothing legally you can do. So you either need to appease them or you need to find out a way to make them go away.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm
I can't-
hoping that their
can't-
way of making us go away isn't like, because I'm very honest with you guys. These people they have no soul. I am telling you.
We
Zero.
understand.
They're dangerous.
We
They're-
understand.
That's why you need
Yeah.
numbers. That's why you need
Yeah.
numbers.
Can I
One
ask
thing
a
that you
question?
guys have
Power
in Gwinnett
numbers.
County that like up here where I'm at, it's very, very red. I don't think I might be the only person in my county that's willing to fight because everybody's like, well, there's nothing to fight about. They don't want to pay attention. What you guys have I hear of so many groups in Gwinnett County, just like you guys, that are getting together and banding together and trying to do something. If you guys can get your group and their group and that other group, that Facebook group and that, and get together and start helping each other, And then you have numbers. So you guys have a couple of dozen people together. Well, there's this group on Facebook of Gwinnett County moms with kids in college, and they've got 50, 60 people together already.
Right.
So rather than teaching one person at a time, you can go teach those 50 or 60, and now you're all together and,
Right.
and helping each other. And so
We also have.
and I just had a thought just a second ago, and then I'll shut up and let you guys talk for a minute because I have a bad habit of talking. But we just recently put together a YouTube channel that we've started to use that we're putting videos up of things that we're doing. Okay. And something I thought of just a minute ago when you were talking, when Wendy was talking, you could do your educational session you had at Panera Bread.
Mhm.
You could record that. You could post it on a YouTube channel as a private link that is not searchable, but you can share it with people.
Okay.
Okay. And then you can share that link to these other groups of people and they can watch the video and learn. And if they have any questions, they can call you or contact you. But that's a way you could teach this information to different groups without having to go to every single one of them in one-on-one.
Okay.
Or you can do a Zoom like this, where you're talking about what it is that you're doing and explaining the process, post that on YouTube, and you can email that link out to people as well, or
Okay.
post it in whatever, if you've got a website or social media, what have you, you can post that link and people then can go directly to it. I see we have a new
But
person
nobody that
that
has the
joined us.
link can access the video. It's not publicly accessible. If
Right,
you upload it to YouTube as a private link, then they have to have the link to get to it.
Right. We
Right.
have two large parent groups that are working together, but we have trolls in there all the time. So definitely having a private link, I think, is better. We don't need
Yes.
people messing with us for sure.
right. I see Tom joined us. Tom is part of your group.
Yes.
Hi,
Tom.
Tom. Welcome to our little discussion here.
Yeah, can I ask 2 questions since I'm new to
Sure
this?
thing.
Okay, thanks.
Absolutely.
When I was watching the 2:30 meeting the other day, which is, I guess they call it the business meeting, I don't know. But it was a board meeting. They went into executive sessions to talk with their lawyer about how they were going to deal with us. Is there any way that we can request what was said in that? I didn't think there was, but
Well, you can do an open records request and they probably won't give you the information. They'll say it was a private meeting and it's not for public, but you can still do it. That again is part of your evidence that you continually collect this information. I cannot tell you how many open record requests I've been doing all across the state and how many times the county attorney is coming back and telling me through whoever it was that I requested the information. I'm sorry, Ms. Stickley, but we can't give that information. That's private. And per Georgia statute, blah, 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 blah. And so I keep at it. I change the verbiage a little bit so that I get even more fine-tuned as to exactly what it is that I'm looking for. It's all through trial and error. None of us have never done this stuff before.
Right.
So we keep at it over and over and over again. And you're going to have attorneys who don't understand what their true role is either. Okay, they belong to a bar association. A bar association is just like a private little club. Okay, they have really no status. They have no business with authority over the people at all. It's the British Accreditation Registry, believe it or not. That's what bar stands for. And they continue. If you quote statute to them, now you've lost. You've totally lost. That's why you have to stand on Constitution only as much as you possibly can. Okay. I mean, there'll be times when you need to cite statute or code or what have you, but that should be very rare. Very, very rare.
okay. And the second question I had, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay, the second question I had was, in dealing with this, and Dina and Wendy may have already told me this, or Chantel, is it just parents who can get involved in this, or can other
Oh,
people?
no. Oh, anybody. I mean, if you're paying taxes to the school district, if you have a vested interest in your community, even if you aren't paying taxes, I mean, this is the future of our nation, right? So
Mhm.
everybody should be involved, grandparents, people who don't have children, but they got nieces and nephews. I mean, they see children, they've got a vested interest in the community, the success of the community and the nation. So anybody and everybody, absolutely.
Only in the state of Georgia though, correct?
No,
Oh,
absolutely
so it
not.
can be outside also.
Yes,
Yeah,
you can get outsiders to, it's all in how you formulate your notice and your affidavit. But see, you also understand that all state constitutions, bills of rights apply to everybody in this country. It doesn't matter what state constitution you're quoting from. We all have the same rights. So if somebody from New Mexico wants to file the same notice or affidavit that's going on in Georgia, it's the way that I'm wording my notice or affidavit as seen in, and if we use Article 1, Section 1, Paragraph 1, it's all people, all people. It doesn't say just the people of Georgia. It's all people.
Okay, so
Okay.
if my family in Louisiana wants to help me out, they would still
Yes.
quote the Georgia Constitution, or would they use
They-
Louisiana?
Yeah, no, they
It
can
doesn't-
quote Georgia. It doesn't matter. Go
No,
ahead,
Okay.
Brandon.
Well, yeah, sorry. And I mean, just to kind of tighten this up a bit, like keep in mind, this is a republic, and a republic is
Mhm.
governed by God. The people are governed by God. The states and individual state constitutions, the United States Constitution has no, you could fill out a notice and an affidavit quoting Virginia's Constitution. It's all still applicable to the people, period, point blank. So, but
As
the
long as you're-
idea,
I'm sorry.
no, go ahead, Jeff.
I was just say, as long as if you're quoting from the Bills of Rights and the Declarations of Rights, these are stating common law rights. The Constitution is not what gave you your rights. It's not like I have
Right.
the rights listed in the Georgia State Constitution because I live in Georgia. No, I have the rights listed in Georgia State Constitution because every person who's a child of God was given those rights by their father at birth. And the Georgia State Constitution is only telling our government which rights they're not allowed to step on
Right.
that I already
Right.
had, that I was born with.
Right.
Okay,
So
so-
there, you might
Common law and
find-
common rights.
you might find something in another state constitution that has a stronger wording to what it is you wish to present. And you can utilize that in your notice and affidavits. Okay.
Okay, so while we're doing this, would y'all all join our fight and send in an
Sure.
affidavit?
Absolutely. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it, and not to like double back on everybody, but I wanted to make a point from what was previously said. I think there is a value from a marketing standpoint for you to document the steps and what you're seeing. So like, for instance, if you send a notice and then you get an email that says metal detectors are going to be there, or this is going to happen, or whatever, I think it's very important from a marketing standpoint of documenting that and say, hey guys, like, as you're educating people, you kind of inseminate that into the education process. Like, hey, listen, this is the process, this is how it works, these are the rights, you need to reclaim them, so on and so forth. This is what we did. We submitted a notice. We didn't get a response from the notice, but we did get an email, right? And the email denoted that metal detectors are going to be there, or X, Y, and Z is going to be there, or whatever. And so you're showing, I find it very difficult to expand the groups when you just use the simple statement of, hey, did you know? What if I were to tell you that you could reform or alter your government today in 30 days? What if I told you that you could abolish your government in
Oh,
30
but you
days?
were
Would you
a
believe me?
terrorist.
Nobody. They would look at you like you have two heads coming out of your neck. Absolutely. So I think it's very important from a marketing standpoint that you document what little successes and victories that you have, and incorporate that into the educational process. But to further kind of comment on your statement, yeah, absolutely, that is what the movement is about, right? Like we need to make sure that we get our notices and affidavits tight. People implement them in their own communities on their own, and then that becomes a product of a national movement. So, again, you got to start from like, I think we did this to ourselves, guys, right? Like we allowed them
Yeah.
to take control of our company, that we have the rightful ownership of. And now we're kicking the door down and saying, hey guys, no, this doesn't work anymore. And I'm sorry that you thought that you had ownership, but you don't. So it's time to reclaim our rights, and it's time to take this back, but you have to do it honorably. You have to do it in the right way. And you have to appreciate the fact of, breaking or changing the indoctrination for, decades and decades and decades takes time, effort, and you just simply can't give up. So there's a process, but understand that not only learning how to do this and implement this on our government, there is a whole separate thing about waking up people and educating them and helping them understand and implementing what's rightfully theirs. So there's kind of two parts is the way I look at it. But anyway, I just wanted to kind of put those comments in.
I have a question real quick.
Yes, ma'am.
How do you feel about filing bar grievances?
We've done one already. We've done a
Okay.
notice to the bar, and we can talk about that at
A
later.
different time. I have a feeling for our friends, our Karen and Brenda.
You mean the domestic terrorist?
Yes, you, that Brian Whiteside is going to need to be
Yeah.
grieved.
We
Yeah.
can definitely have another discussion about that.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Absolutely, you bet. Okay, Jeff, you want to go through what you have highlighted here?
So we were talking about rights and different constitutions, rights that are, so this is Georgia Constitution, Article 1, Section 1, Paragraph 29. And it states that this enumeration of rights herein contained, so this is at the end of the Georgia Bill of Rights. Okay. And it says this enumeration of rights herein contained as part of this Constitution shall not be construed to deny to the people any inherent rights which they may have hitherto enjoyed. So this our forefathers put this here to say, we have listed which rights we have that you're not allowed to step on, because those are the ones we felt were important to mention. But just in case there was any we forgot to mention, we're letting you know that you're not allowed to stomp on those either. Okay. So these are, we have to remember, and I love the way Dave puts it, and he said it one time, and I've requoted him like hundreds of times. But so in the beginning, the people created government, right? We had the Declaration of Independence, and we fought a war to defend our Declaration of Independence. And at that point, our forefathers stood on this land, free men, with no government of any kind, no king, no anything. They were free men, self-governing, sovereign individuals. And they created, the people that lived in Georgia created the Georgia government. We didn't have to create this government. We could have just gone on, but we did. But we decided to hire you guys to handle our business, so we can go handle our public business, so we can go on about our private business without being bothered with it. In this document, in Article 2, we tell the legislative branch what their job is, right? And in Article 3,
Article 3, we tell them.
in Article 4, we tell the executive branch, and these other articles, we tell the executive and the judicial branch what their jobs are, what they're allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do, right? This is the governor's job because the people said it's your job. This is your job because we created your office and we said this is your job. It's not your job because you want it to be, right? So, but in Article 1, at the very beginning, we tell you, before we get started on telling you all what you are allowed to do, we're going to go through here and let you know what you're not allowed to do and what powers and rights the people reserve to ourselves. So these declarations of rights in all of the various state constitutions are not saying that if you live in Virginia, you have this right. And if you live in Georgia, you have this right. We're saying that these are rights we already had, and we're letting you know that you're not allowed to trample these. So,
And this is a really important piece when you're educating others, that they fully understand the Constitution. That is something, I mean, that is our mainstay. That's our mission at PGR, is to educate and provide the people with the tools and resources that are out there to reclaim themselves, reclaim their communities, reclaim their state and this country. And it all starts with the basics, and that's the Constitution. So
get
once
down to
you
these later. Sorry, go ahead.
once you understand the meaning behind every single piece of the Constitution, now it all becomes very clear. I mean, it all starts falling into place. Go ahead, Jeff.
Get down to these later articles and we're laying out, you know, what branches of government exist and what departments they are due and what. So this is I randomly chose Article 8, Section 1, Public Education. The provision of an adequate public education for the citizens shall be the primary obligation of the state of Georgia. This clearly states the state of Georgia. This clearly applies to Georgians. This applies to Georgia government. But if you look
Right.
through our declarations of rights, it doesn't say the people of Georgia have the right to assemble. It says the people. The people have
Right.
a right. The people have this right. The people have that right. The people have that right. Now, the governor of Georgia has this job, and the governor of Virginia has a different job. And so that does the Georgia State Constitution doesn't apply to the Virginia governor, but the Georgia State Declaration of Rights applies to any free person living in any republic within the 50 states.
Right,
Because
right.
and
So
that's
that-
why when we in the first line of the first paragraph of our notices and affidavits, we say, I, Jeff Spiva, one of the people, as seen in Georgia State Constitution, Article 1, Section 1, Paragraph 1,
No person
or Paragraph
shall be
2, or
deprived.
whatever one you put,
Right.
right? But say we put Paragraph 2, we do Section 2, Paragraph 1. See, they used to have, back in the day, all of the good stuff was up in Section 1, but they stuck it down here in Section 2 so people won't get to it.
Mm.
But this says all government of right originates with the people, not with the people of Georgia, not belongs to the people of Georgia. It does not say all government of right originates with bar attorneys and judges, right? So the people. So if you want to know, does that apply to someone in Virginia? Is he a people? Does it apply to your buddy in Louisiana? Is your buddy a people? Because if he's a people, then it applies, right?
So I have a question about that. So,
Yeah,
okay, so I didn't really understand the difference between the people and how this applies to each governor. So for instance, we watch Ron DeSantis saying, we're going to end all mandates in our state. And I've been told repeatedly that because of the Georgia Constitution, Kemp does not have that power. So how are there differences that way, but there are not differences when you're talking of the people? Why is that
Okay.
different?
because
I
they're
haven't
talking about a specific law. A
I haven't
law that
researched
the
your
legislature.
question, but I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that DeSantis doesn't have the power either, because it's probably not clearly stated in the Florida Constitution either. But that's just a guess.
Okay, because I've been told that it's different because we're all criticizing Kemp, and I think rightfully so, but we're all criticizing Kemp because he's not taking a lot of action with these local municipalities. But we watch Florida doing that very thing, and it's frustrating. And I've been told repeatedly that no, he does not have that power enumerated to him in our Constitution, but apparently that's different in Florida. So
The challenge, if I could just, jump in here, is that what you're seeing on TV is, them trying to manipulate the narrative. It's very simple. It's very simple. Just default back to the Constitution, not just the state's Constitution, but we have 51 constitutions, all the states and the United States. Default back. It doesn't matter what they say. They have the power. They don't have the power. The simplistic thing I can say is this is how it works, right? The people are the employer. Everything else, just to make it simple, is of an employee that you've hired, that you've made. And either you're going to take accountability for what you've established, what you've created, what you've made, or you're not. That's it. Nobody, don't let or a news or this or that or whatever tell you it's different here, there, whatever. This is a republic. Simplistic form of a republic is the people are governed by God, period. That's it. That's it.
Good,
All you
Brandon. Yeah.
all you have to do is reclaim your rights. All you have to do is just go into your company and say, hey man, I've been gone for, decades, but I'm back now. I still have ownership. It's still my show. It's still my company. Y'all are going to do what I want, period. It's very simple. Just smash your TV, set it on fire, throw it outside, get rid of it.
Clean up this mess you made. And by the way, don't put no cream in my coffee. So here's the thing that really irritates me about all of this press and this narrative about this governor's doing this and that governor's doing that and that governor's doing that. Okay. The same thing with the president. Okay. Constitutionally, you want to know what the Georgia governor's job is? It's right here. The governor shall take care that the laws are faithfully executed because he is the executive officer, because his job is to execute the laws. And the governor shall be the commander in chief of military forces of the state. That's his job. Pretty short list,
That's
right?
it.
Yeah.
Our founding fathers made the legislature the most powerful branch of government intentionally, because your local representative is the closest person to the people and is the closest person to understand what the people's will is for his district. So the legislator has the right to make the laws. The governor's only job is to do what the legislator said to do. That's his job in all 50 states. That's the governor's job. The president of the United States, his job is to do what Congress says. Congress decides how the money gets spent. The president's job is to spend it the way Congress said to.
Never happens that way though.
No, because they've changed the narrative around to make it look like
They're the boss, and they're not.
in the early Old Testament, Israel had a nation and they had a ruler, and their ruler was God, and they were self-governed with God as their ruler. And what did they say? We want a king. We want a king. We want a king. And God said, I'm sure you don't, I really don't think you want that. It's not going to work out the way you want. I think it's going to, but they said, we want a king. So he gave them a king. Okay. America was set up to where we're self-governing, and no one man in the state of Georgia has ultimate power. And what the people said, well, somebody has to be in charge. Somebody has to be in charge. Somebody has to be in charge. And they're like, we really don't think you're going to like the way this is going to work out. But we said, okay, well, let the governor be in charge. And now everybody complains because he doesn't do his job right. Right. But who is it that's really not doing their job right? It's us. We're not doing our job.
Right.
Right. So we are re-educating ourselves. Is what we're
Amen.
doing. We are taking what we were taught, and we are going, that's not true. We're finding the truth. We are relearning. I mean, when was the last time you really looked at the Constitution? A long, long time ago. And how much education did you get in it way back when? Maybe a week or two in school. We kind of covered it a little bit, and we never talked about the state constitution, and now it's like totally gone, totally gone. It's totally eliminated. And that's by design. That's by design.
You can't defend
Okay.
what you don't know. Yeah.
That's right. Exactly, Wendy. Perfectly said. Perfectly
Oh,
said.
and Wendy, I was
And-
going
and-
to say that George DeSantos has brass balls. Kemp does not.
Ron DeSantis.
Ron.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ron DeSantis has brass balls.
Well, yes, but you
No
also,
offense to anybody.
again, what Brandon was saying is shut the doggone news off. Just turn it off. In fact, this morning, in our PGR group, we posted some information about the Smith-Mundt Act. If you want to understand propaganda, get yourself into the Smith-Mundt Act and how it changed in 2012 and was signed by Obama into law, the change to it in 2013. It's all propaganda. The media is involved in it. Everybody's involved in it. So just
that name
shut them
again?
off.
Yeah.
Smith-Mundt, M-U-N-D-T Act. It was originally put in and signed by Eisenhower back in 1948. It was originally as a means to fight propaganda from foreign nations coming into the United States. But in 2012, the Congress went and changed that, and it said, or of by other means. I mean, it's like, oh, really? What are those other means? Yeah, it's everywhere. The government has been, and the media, everybody have been running psyops on us.
Right. Especially the CIA and
All of them. So
Obama made it legal.
I don't want to derail us here, but I just wanted to bring that particular issue up because Wendy brought up, the media, and that's another rabbit hole you can go down. It's not that big of a rabbit hole, but you should understand it.
yeah.
Okay, Jeff, was there somewhere else you wanted to go on this?
So people talk about mask mandates and vaccine mandates, right? Well, the forefathers didn't have COVID and they didn't have vaccines. So how could they have said anything in the Constitution about mandates, right? Well, there it is right there. Right there.
So you cannot create any sort of legislation that takes away your rights, period.
Right.
Period.
They're creating two statuses in society. You have the vaxxed and the unvaxxed. You have those that are mask wearers and those that aren't. And they're trying to make us a separate group so that they can point fingers and say those aren't good. Those aren't good enough. Well, right there, it says that's illegal.
Mhm. So I know we've gone over our time here. This has been really, really good for all of us, personally, I think. But where do you go from here? That's the big question, right?
Yeah.
Well, maybe you just need another notice. And in that notice,
Hands
you
is a
get,
good way.
clean hands. Do a clean hands notice. And you don't have to address it to the governor right now. You are strictly dealing with your school board, right?
Okay.
So let's just deal with them. Okay, let's get real
Is there a good
specific.
example somewhere?
I'm sorry.
Is there a good example somewhere to follow of that?
I have one, Wendy, that Dave did in our class while I attended the class. He did
Okay.
one show of clean hand. I have a copy. So
Okay.
maybe I can share that.
Have
Okay.
the webinar.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a really good webinar, and you
It was so good.
you can take that clean hands notice and fine tune it for your needs. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Get as many people as you can to watch the webinar. Maybe do a public viewing of the webinar so that people understand what it is that it says and what that means, what clean hands means, and how they're using statutory programs that are not government entities to make money off of
that's a
each
good
other
idea.
because they're stomping on your kids' rights and they're getting paid for it.
Yeah.
That's
Can-
one of
can we-
Dave's freebies, right? I just want to make
It
sure
was one of
that's
Dave's freebies. It's
that's
the one that
one of Dave's freebies.
Do
Right.
we
Yeah,
have
I
do we have
actually- I
a link we
attended
can
the
post
course.
in the chat?
I
Anybody?
can, what I'll do, Brandon, is I can find that, and I'm talking to Chantel. I can give it to her and then she can forward it around to everyone else. And
Yeah.
Brandon, I'll put it in our group, okay? Or actually, why don't
Thank
I,
you.
I'll post it in that Georgia audit. Not Georgia audit,
Okay.
the Georgia group.
Yeah, the Telegram group, the Telegram
Yes.
group, right?
Yes,
Okay,
Right.
thank you.
yeah.
So,
And
so
then-
Deb, are you going to send your corrected version of our affidavit back to Chantal, or can you send it to me? So we can adjust that, because we have another set going out. So I want to make sure that we correct, we put your corrections in there.
Yeah, sure. I'll send it back to Chantel and then she
Okay.
can forward it on to everyone else. Um,
Article 8 of Georgia Constitution covers education.
Article
Okay,
what?
so-
Yeah,
eight.
Yeah. I'm gonna, what the copy I received in terms of Deb's markups, I'm gonna post in the chat right now.
I
if that
made a
helps.
few more. I made a
Did-
few
okay.
more
We
edits.
we
Yeah.
rewrote that
Yeah. Okay.
last paragraph. The last
Yeah.
paragraph was kind of, it said the same thing like 3 times. And
I
just
need to
kinda-
clean it.
I cleaned it up a little bit and made it more concise so that it read better.
That's what,
for,
that's what it takes. Yeah.
Somebody
No,
who was
okay.
not interested in reading it, didn't want to hear it, would be able to understand it better.
Now, are all of the people in your Gwinnett group brought into that Telegram Georgia group that Chantel, you're in? Dina, I saw that you're in there. Wendy, you got in there. I don't think Karen's in there yet, though.
Not yet.
the
We're
Georgia one or
pulling
the
everybody in one by one.
Okay, great.
And-
Yeah,
and
it was,
if it-
The Georgia one, Deb?
yeah, it was the one that Rosemary Spalding, one of the affidavit mamas, created for our state.
Okay. The
So,
one I joined
yeah.
last night, correct?
okay, great. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, and if I could just make a personal request, I think that is very important. If you guys could bring your folks that you've already kind of assembled and bring them into Telegram. I mean, that is where we share our thoughts, we help each other, we support each other, and that is where we actually I mean, even down to the simplistic form of editorial comments. I mean, that's where it happens. So yeah, I mean, you guys sound like you have your stuff together. So it'd be very I would be thankful if you could bring your folks over and we could all pick each other's brains. It'd be great.
absolutely.
We have a
Absolutely.
lot of very
I would
active
like to
people.
say before we jump off of here, I want to thank God for sending you guys to us, just because, we as Preserve Georgia Rights, we've been since January. We're trying to help people in the state of Georgia, and we deal with stuff statewide, but we've just started. We're actually working on putting together a group for each county, but it's a work in progress. And what you guys are doing, getting together on a local level, coordinating face to face, helping each other, teaching each other, helping each other, having each other's back, standing up to these crooked government officials and telling them, we're not going to take this crap anymore. We know the law and you don't, and we're standing up for our rights. You guys are like an inspiration, and you guys are awesome.
You got me
And just-
fired up, I'll tell you that.
Well, let me tell you, let me
It's
tell you
the local
something.
level.
I
At the
was,
local levels where it happens. The local levels where we have our power.
Right.
let me say something, Jeff, because I was determined to find someone anywhere in here or outside of state that would help us. And I was not going to rest until we did that. So I was so excited yesterday because I reached out to like about 6 different groups yesterday.
Yeah.
Trying to get somebody to give us some kind of response, some kind of answer, some kind of support, because what I found is that a lot of people, are teaching, but as far as when it comes down to it, is actually saying, okay, we're gonna be with you, we're gonna get it done. That's when I see that doesn't follow through. That's been my experience. I've gone through this experience because my oldest son started college. He went to Morehouse College, private college, and I had to fight the battle by myself, to get him to college without having to deal with the the vax and the mask and all these different things. And I was successful without having to go any further than past the affidavit. So I am just determined for us to be able to get through this and then be successful. I'm confident that we will. It's just gonna, it's not gonna be as fast as some of us think. It's just a process, and I think we understand that by now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations,
Thank you.
Chantel, on that success, big time. In fact, it was because of efforts that we did as well in going to the universities, that the universities backed down.
I
mean, we
wonder
had-
what happened.
Yeah, we had tons of people that sent out notices to the universities, and moms and dads. I mean,
Yeah.
they went crazy, and the university system in Georgia backed down. They said, "Okay."
You know what?
bye."
You know where the biggest group that was involved in that I'm aware of was in Gwinnett County.
Mhm.
Really?
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah. It's that
That
Facebook
mama's-
group.
They have a Facebook group of Gwinnett parents, Facebook group, and they were all
Yeah.
over it.
Mhm.
Deb, you have to
We'll
let
have to
us
find
know
out.
what group. You
Yeah, we'll
have to
have to
let
find
us
out.
know what group
I
it
don't know
is.
which one. I wish I knew. I don't know exactly
Oh.
what it is. I think
Ask
you're
Susan.
just,
I'll see if I can get a hold of Susan and find
Okay.
out if she's still in.
Thanks,
there.
Jeff.
Probably is.
I have a son in college, so I'd definitely be interested.
Yeah,
in
me
joining
too.
that.
yeah. Well, the whole university system backed down. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
I
awesome.
figured something
And
happened.
you know how I did it? The way I did the notice for that is I took it in a completely different direction than they were looking, what they were expecting to take, because they're private colleges, right? And so
Yes.
I addressed the notice to the college president and also to the Georgia State legislator, the Georgia State
Mhm.
Senate, and the Georgia State representatives. And I addressed them as this so-called private college that is doing commerce in our state as a public entity.
Yep.
That was my
And I said,
Good.
I want the legislature to show me where they gave this public entity doing commerce in our state the right to trample on the people's rights, the power to trample on the people's rights. And they backed off
That's
quick.
awesome.
Mhm.
And that's,
Wow.
Yeah.
I have one more.
Yeah.
I have one more question
if you
before
hit them in the pocketbook, they don't care about that. That's what they're worried
That's
about, their
right.
pocketbook, right? We're going to hit them in the pocketbook, right?
Yeah, Wendy.
One more question. So we're going to take this next step that you suggested, the second notice with the clean hands. Should we continue with this new set of people sending the original notices, like keep them
Yeah.
going, keep the whole situation going? Like, obviously I'll
Oh, sure.
correct the things you said to correct.
Sure.
Send out these new
Yep.
ones with these new 20 people. Okay.
Yeah. In
So-
fact, have
okay.
those 20 people do the same thing. Do both of them, you know?
Right.
You got your
That's-
clean
that was-
hands and you got your affidavit. I mean, these affidavits and these notices don't expire.
Right.
They have
Okay.
no expiration date on them. You can
And
go
it sends
on
the
to,
message that not only are we not backing down on the first one and we're getting more support on the first one, but we're going to move forward with something else too.
Okay, good.
So it
Okay.
lets them know that you're not going away.
And that's what we
And
want to do. We want to hit them from multiple angles. So that's great.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
yes. And
Okay.
if you go to preservegarights.org, go to the tab campaigns, you'll be able to see the notices and affidavits that we've done. We give full instructions as to how to do them, and they don't expire.
Okay.
Jeff, Wendy had brought up about the Bar Association, which we can discuss at another time, but we submitted a notice to the bar president and told her to back off.
Mhm.
Back off. We wanted all the attorneys to get out of, well, I think it was the Cobb grand jury, was it that we were addressing, Jeff? I'm trying to remember. But oh no, it was it was Garland Favorito's lawsuit in Fulton
Okay.
that we were fighting on, because the Fulton County brought in attorneys from Perkins Coie.
No
We all know
way.
who
Garland
Perkins
said- Merrick
Coie
Garland
is.
said he was
They
gonna come
brought
to
in
Georgia.
They brought in criminal defense attorneys for their defense in Fulton County.
They're-
Okay.
Because they're criminals.
Yeah, because exactly. But we sent a notice off to the bar president and told her to tell every single attorney back down. You are interfering with the people's business.
Wow.
For
That's
you.
that's impressive. I love that.
Well, we didn't win, but that's okay. We put them on notice. It's the first step,
Right.
right?
Also, we also did one that told them to back off of Sidney Powell and Rudy Giuliani and Lynn Wood.
Mhm.
And that was
And-
one
and
that
Trump.
Dave and Josh did that was national, but
Mhm.
it was addressed to the Bar Association.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
So
awesome.
little by little, step by step, inch by inch, we will get our successes. So
Yeah.
I have a question for you. Do you mind if we post this on our YouTube channel as an educational tool to others? Do any of you have a problem?
No.
Karen, you asleep or what?
What is the
Oh,
YouTube?
you're
thing?
muted.
Okay, and Karen, we need to address your issue. And we'll do that on offline here, not in the Zoom call, but you're muted, but we need to take care of you. Okay. I want to thank you all. We all.
My
worked
internet's
so
going in
good.
and out, so y'all are freezing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
mine is too.
Okay. Y'all are awesome.
Hey, Deb, do you want
Yeah.
to stop the recording and then we can sit and chat it if anybody wants to sit and chat?